Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about lack of consistency. Have you ever played a game that established a rule and then almost immediately broke it? Like you're playing a game and it says you have a lockpick ability to get through locks, but one of the first doors you encounter needs a key and can't be lockpicked. You're like, why did I take that skill? Or you've spent hours playing a game and you've built up this one skill level and you found that one item that works perfectly with that skill level, and then the end boss is immune to that skill or that item. I almost call this hypocrisy because it's a form of saying or implying one thing and it's really another, because it isn't a factual lie, but it's really an inconsistency. It's, hey, if you're told or taught that there's one rule, but clearly there's another rule that's in place, this is the thing that frustrates me the most. I've never been more angry in my entire career in the game industry than when somebody told me something flat out later that wasn't true, and the thing they told me was a rule. This has happened above and below. I've had an employee who thought a rule should apply to everybody, but not him. And he actually would get mad at other employees for breaking that rule, but then when he broke the rule, he always had, well, there's reasons and things. Similarly, I had a manager once make a rule, and then within a week, he broke his own rule. And when I brought that to his attention, he yelled at me. So these are the kind of things that made me go, my time here is limited. I've seen it on this channel a bit. When I made my video called One More Game, and I said, I think I want to make one more game. What should I do? There were three main answers. A lot of people wanted a spiritual successor to Fallout. A lot of people wanted a spiritual successor to Arcanum. Or the actual ones if I get the licenses, but otherwise a spiritual successor. But there was one really loud set of people saying, Tim, make what you want. You do what you want. Don't listen to people here. Do whatever you want. And when I read those, first of all, that was really nice to hear because I kind of do want to make what I want. But I have to think about this really loud, vocal, but minority group of gamers who say, game devs don't listen to us. How can I go and make what I want? And won't those people be mad? There's this weird hypocrisy of me being told, do what you want, but it better be something we like. Do what you want, but listen to us as you make it. Make it how we tell you. More specifically, when I did my video on generative AI, despite I was very clear, I'm pro-regulation and I want the creators to get paid. I was really clear about that. Some people still unsubbed because I was positive about the uses of Gen AI. And that's fine. People unsubbed. Actually, more people subbed than unsubbed. But the thing I took notice of was at least one of the people who unsubbed had left a previous comment on a different video complaining about people who live in bubbles, who don't want to listen to anyone who doesn't agree with them. And then they were unsubbing with me because they didn't agree with me. I wonder if they will think about that in the future, or if they just lack that kind of introspection. But I do wonder if later on, or maybe they'll even watch this video, but I doubt it because they unsubbed, if they'll go, ooh, that was me. Ooh, I'm that person I complain about. The reason I think consistency is so important, well, first of all, if you're a designer, I have a whole video on why your game lore should be consistent. It's really important to make it consistent. That doesn't mean you can't have the occasional unreliable narrator. You know, you can occasionally have an NPC who's deliberately telling you something false or is just misinformed themselves. But in general, your lore should be consistent. Don't tell people that, this spell works on all undead, but then put an undead that's immune to it, because that's just super annoying. Similarly, I made a video called Consistency in Leadership, and these videos are linked below. And I say a big chunk of what makes your team happy to work with you is making sure that they know what you want, and then you judge their work accordingly. Nothing is more frustrating, and this has happened to me, where you get a request for a piece of work and you do it exactly according to the request. You've done it exactly the way they asked. And then it gets rejected. And often it's like, well, you know what I meant. No, I only know what you said. And this has happened to me. I've got videos on that. The whole randomness video stuff is about that. And people agreed with that you have to be consistent in being a leadership. But there were several people who said, hey, I'm super introverted, or I'm even on the spectrum, but I still want to be a game director. And my response was, it's still your responsibility to get your design ideas across to the team, and especially your design POV, your point of view, the rules of how you came up with that design and what you like and don't like. That still needs to be somehow conveyed to your team, and that's your responsibility. It is not your team's responsibility to pull that out of you. It's your responsibility to explain it to them. However you can, whether it's through design documents or emails or Slacks or whatever, it's your responsibility. It's not theirs. And I know I told a story, I couldn't find the video for it, but I know I told a story once about at Interplay, there was another project that I really loved and I thought I'd be perfect for, and I didn't like the project I was on. Well, I did. It had nothing in it that was overly interesting to me. And there was a programmer with the same experience as me, we were about the same programming skill level, who really wanted to be on my project. So we thought, this is perfect. We went to the VP of Dev and said, hey, swap us. And he went, no, that's impossible. I can't just let people be on projects they want to be on. What if there was a project no one liked? To, of course, me and the other programmer just looked at each other and were like, why would you make a game that literally no one here liked? But here's something that did come up. In this story I didn't tell. What if you're working on a project and a small part of your team doesn't like it? So you're making some game and you have, your design pillars, you make all the design docs, and you've had design brainstorming and concept art and all that passed all the approvals and checks, and the people above you like it, and the people who were involved in all like it. So then you build up the team, and when you build up the team, guess what? You're never going to have 100 people in a room and everybody agrees. So let's say there's a few people on that team, and they're like, we should be making this. This is not a good game. This is not a good feature. I don't like this. We shouldn't be doing this. If it's a small percentage, I've had people come and ask me, what should I do? I have some people on my project who don't like it. First of all, that's normal. It's completely normal. I don't think I've ever seen a project with more than 30 people on it that everybody on the project agreed that every feature on that project was perfect. Instead, what I told the person who came and asked me, because it was about his project, I said, ask the team these questions. Or if you can talk to the people who aren't happy, if you know who they are, ask them these questions. Do you understand what we're trying to make? Like the goals, the design goals, and the features. Because sometimes they just didn't understand it. They're like, I thought we were making an action RPG. No, we're making a full-on RPG, which is why character skill is more important than player skill. Sometimes they don't understand your own POV. Like the way my humor is. I think I told the story of the narrator who was having trouble writing dumb dialogue until he finally figured out how I think about dumb dialogue, and then suddenly he was having fun with it. But it took his understanding of my point of view of what dumb dialogue is. I didn't want a person just going, duh, drool. It was a person who earnestly and emphatically would state things that were just categorically wrong. You may know of such people on the internet. So once he figured that out, he wrote some of the best dumb dialogue I'd ever read. And then, even if they disagree on a particular feature, like I don't think that this feature belongs in the game, you need to, of course, always say, do you think it doesn't meet the goal? Or do you think there's something wrong with the feature itself? Do they at least know how you intend for it to be made? Because if they know how to make it, that will make you happy. Look, I just want you to do this, and then I'll be happy. I've found that sometimes when people make something and then they own it, suddenly they like it better. So these are all ways that you can get people on your team thinking about the features and goals of your project in a slightly different way. And it's basically usually one of those questions I just listed will get them thinking, which usually leads to a solution for them. Oh, I like the game better now. I understand what we're making, or I know how to make that feature, and I'm going to own it. I'm going to make it the best feature ever. And that's basically what I'm saying here is a good way to address lack of consistency or people who don't agree and want things changed would be simply to ask questions. Whether you're asking the game director, I need to know more about what it is you want. I need to know why you want this, which is asking about the features and also the goals of the features in a way that's constructive. Basically, you're not yelling, you're not having tantrums, you're basically asking questions, and 9 times out of 10, that leads to understanding and a much better game. So, I hope if you're having any issues with lack of consistency on your own projects, I hope this helped.